Hello, my name is Dr. Percy Johnson. I teach religious studies at Beulah Heights University and also spiritual formation classes at the Interdenominational Theological Center. We, for the next few weeks, will be examining the 8th and 7th century prophets. We want to examine them to correlate their struggles and their challenges with those that we are experiencing in the 21st century, or what we call a post-modern society and culture. In this time, what we'd like to do is to examine those prophets and their desire to create an alternative reality. We in this present society now are struggling with what we call the polarity, that those who have are constantly fighting to get more, while those who are marginalized and dehumanized, those individuals are struggling just to make ends meet. And Professor Walter Brueggemann will talk about the creation of a city-state and Israel as she constantly wrestles with this city-state system. A city-state system, as we will begin to examine, is a system that is implemented where those who have the greatest amount during that time, as it pertains to resources, they begin to exploit those individuals who do not. Not only do we want to examine it from that perspective, but we also want to examine it according to the individuals who have been marginalized. How do we participate in our own dehumanization? How is it that we challenge ourselves? How do we begin to look at the system and look at ourselves and begin to acquire our own autonomy and power? One of the chapters in the writing of the prophet Amos, this mid-8th century prophet, is that he challenges in chapter 6 that there is an ease in Zion. In other words, the church has become complicit. The church has become an institution that participates in this dehumanization. Throughout our time together, I want to look at the church and how we are promoting the exploitation of other human beings. I'm concerned from a practical theological perspective why it is that many of our churches are constantly talking about prosperity, but never talking about the injustices, never talking about empowering people beyond a lottery mindset, that we wait on God to give us, hand us, without any investment of ourselves. And so we want to look at the scriptures to see God challenging us to utilize our minds, our talents, and our resources to develop a community where all human beings are valued, where all human beings are respected. Amos turns around and says, woe to those who are at ease in Zion. And so what does that mean as we talk about our nation? What does that mean as we talk about our communities? What does that mean as we talk about our place as God's instrument inside of this nation to, as Dr. Brueggemann constantly says, create a different reality? We need to begin to take a look. Why is it that there's so much disparity? Why is it that as we look at our political parties, why are they constantly demonizing on both sides? And how can the church step into this struggle, bridging both of the struggles for the wealthy and the struggles for the poor? How can we bridge it together so that all human beings begin to see themselves as viable and valuable? How do we begin to look at it not only in the United States, but on a global scale? Why is it that we exploit? How do we exploit individuals around the world? And what does that mean as we talk about we are a Christian nation, but we constantly are utilizing techniques, tools to what we call promote a Darwinian thought process? We keep saying the survival of the fittest, but it's the survival of the fittest according to our rules, according to our structures, and which best benefits us. So in the next few weeks, we want to look at the biblical writ and to begin to examine it in that world context, to begin to look at it through the prophet's eyes, and to begin to talk about what is the church's role in stemming the tides of violence in our nation, stemming the tides of what we call this disparity. How do we empower our children to the point that they see some sense of hope, marriages where they see some kind of brighter future and some viability? So as we look together, what we will be doing is exploring the prophets, what they saw in Israel, how they understood what they saw in Israel as it pertains to a covenant with this specific God, how they began to articulate a different reality and invite the individuals in that time to begin to create and manifest that reality, and how do we do it in the 21st century. Each week we will be exploring, we will be examining the teachings of these prophets, and we'll be challenging ourselves to be better human beings and better instruments of God. I look forward to our time together. I hope you will join me. I hope we together can begin to journey toward a new awareness and a new consciousness of God and of ourselves.